Nathan Redmond sees a report on the news about Elise Fox, who vanished without a trace 3 years earlier after a party. The police and volunteer search efforts came up empty. The young woman's family makes a public appeal, begging anyone with even the smallest piece of information not to stay silent. Nathan grows visibly nervous, clearly hiding something. 7 years pass. Nathan hears the doorbell and wonders who could be at his door on such a rainy evening. On the doorstep, he sees Robert Morrow, an unwelcome guest from the past. Nathan reminds him of their agreement. Bob was never supposed to come here. He merely smiles ominously and says they are digging up the woods. Nathan panics and tries to slam the door shut, but Bob stops him. Nathan would rather talk another time and somewhere else. Besides, his wife will be home soon. But Bob insists on coming in. He explains that a new housing development is going to be built on that stretch of woods, and the excavators are coming in on Monday. Bob notices a photograph of Elise on the wall, and his expression changes. What has Nathan done? Nathan's wife returns before Nathan can get rid of the unwanted guest. Holly Fox has never met Bob before. Nathan introduces him as an old acquaintance. Before leaving, Bob makes it clear to Nathan that this will not be their last meeting. Holly can tell something is wrong, no matter how hard her husband tries to act as if everything is fine. He is barely holding himself together. For all these years, the man has been hiding a terrible secret known only to 2 people. The stress leaves Nathan nauseous and feverish. When Holly leaves for work the next morning, he looks up information about the construction of the new neighborhood on that stretch of woods, then calls Bob. Their situation leaves them very little choice, so they will have to move the body. The day before, Bob had secretly left Nathan a disc. He has to listen to the recording several times, then destroy the disc immediately afterward. Nathan drives to the same stretch of woods where everything happened 10 years ago. He plays the disc at full volume, just as Bob told him to. According to Bob, the recording was made in an empty room. At first Nathan hears only white noise, but then Elise's voice suddenly begins to break through. The voice says she is not dead, making Nathan flinch. Maybe he only imagined it. All day Nathan feels out of sorts, remembering how 7 years earlier he called the real estate agency where Holly Fox worked, back when she was not yet his wife. He had sought her out deliberately, knowing whose sister she was. The house viewing was nothing more than a pretext. That was how they met. That evening Nathan casually asks his wife whether she has heard anything about the new housing development. Holly has heard about it, and she does not like the idea of so many trees being destroyed for it. Nathan is planning to meet Bob today. The woman is surprised since he is sick, but she does not object, especially since the 2 old friends have not seen each other in so many years. Holly has too much work to dwell on the strange way her husband is behaving. Back then, she admitted to Nathan that being a realtor was not her calling. She had always dreamed of something bigger. Nathan in turn said that selling greeting cards was not his calling either. Holly could not hold back a laugh. She would never have thought a guy like Nathan sold greeting cards. He did not blame her for it. In the present, Nathan comes to Bob's place to talk. The 2 men met in 2009, when Nathan worked in radio. Professor Robert Morrow was being interviewed at the time. He studied paranormal phenomena. Nathan says there is nothing on the recording. Besides, he still has not destroyed the disc. Bob stresses that Nathan needs to listen to the recording several times and pay close attention to the interference. Nathan looks confused. Bob guesses that Nathan heard Elise's voice. It is called electronic voice phenomenon. According to Bob, this is how the dead communicate with the living. The most important thing is to make the recording in an empty room with no sources of radio interference. Nathan refuses to believe this nonsense, but deep down he knows it was Elise's voice. The question is, how is that possible? Bob wonders why Nathan married Holly, of all people. It could not have been a mere coincidence. Nathan has no intention of talking about it. Either way they need to move the body as soon as possible. Even the remains will be enough for the police to identify Elise. Nathan does not think he can go through with it. But Bob has one argument Nathan cannot ignore. If Holly's sister is found, it will be a terrible blow to her. Nathan cannot let that happen. He had hoped Elise's death would stay buried in the past forever, but every action has consequences. In 2013, Nathan met Holly in a bar. Realizing that he was hoping for something more, the woman decided to tell him something about herself. 3 years earlier she had lost her younger sister. Elise had gone to a party, and no one had seen her since. But Nathan already knew that. It happened in 2009, on New Year's Eve. Holly had been at that party too, as had the girl's parents. Everyone except Elise decided to leave early. As he listened, Nathan did his best to pretend he was shocked. Holly told him that the police had searched for Elise and tried to find a suspect, but they had found no evidence. Elise's family did not even know whether she was alive. For those 3 years, the uncertainty had tormented them. In truth, Holly had lost hope. Nathan was the first person she had opened up to since then. but Holly thought it would be better if they stopped seeing each other. On that fateful night, Nathan came to the party just after Elise's family had left. There, he crossed paths with Bob. In the present, Nathan notices a missed call. His anxiety grows when Holly walks into the room in tears. Has she suspected something? The woman says she is not pregnant this month either. Nathan actually feels relieved, even though they have been trying to have a baby for a long time, and their latest round of IVF has failed as well. Bob calls again. Nathan ignores the call, so later Bob shows up at his workplace. He makes it clear that he is not going away and will keep coming back again and again, until they do what they have to do. Nathan insists they should leave the body where it is. Even if Elise is found, there will be no evidence left because it happened many years ago. Bob, however, does not think so. He says Elise is haunting him, and the recording of her voice proves it. 2 days ago, Bob woke up and saw Elise standing over his bed. They cannot go on pretending nothing is happening. He cannot take it anymore and threatens to tell Holly everything if Nathan does not help him. Nathan understands, if Holly and her family learn the truth, it will destroy them. But even so, he still refuses to give in to Bob's blackmail. Holly still has not come home, even though she should have by now. Nathan is worried. Suddenly he hears footsteps, as if someone else is there. Maybe Bob is not so crazy after all, and Elise's restless spirit is now haunting them. Nathan remembers how he and Bob brought Elise's body to the woods. In 2013, when Nathan and Holly were already living together, she hung photographs of Elise on the wall. She felt her sister's presence all the time. Photos of Elise are still everywhere in the house. Nathan is going out of his mind with worry, because Holly still has not shown up and has not answered her phone. What if Bob told her everything? Finally, the woman comes home. She was delayed at a business meeting and lost her phone, so she could not answer. Holly had been waiting for this evening because the couple had planned to talk about their failed IVF attempts. They need money again for the next one. Holly is not even sure she is capable of getting pregnant. After every failed attempt, she feels a terrible sense of loss. She is almost ready to give up. Nathan tries to support his wife, but in truth that is not what is worrying him at all. At a New Year's party in 2009, Bob, trying to liven things up, offered Nathan something better than alcohol. The men got to talking about ghosts. Bob believed there were things in the world that could not be explained by science as we know it. The worlds of the living and the dead were inextricably linked. Nathan asked Bob why he had started studying ghosts. He replied that he had once seen one. The seriousness in Bob's voice genuinely frightened Nathan. Then midnight came, and with it, 2010. Nathan was not really in the mood to celebrate, so he decided to leave. Elise followed him. Later that same year, Nathan was called in for questioning about Elise Fox's disappearance. The investigation was led by Detective Inspector Jackie Hadley and Detective Inspector William Holloway. Nathan claimed that he had not spoken to Elise at the party or afterward, although in reality they had gone for a walk and talked, until Bob suggested they all go somewhere for a drink. Nathan and Elise agreed. To the police, however, Nathan said that he had not been able to get a taxi, so Bob had picked him up. According to Nathan, it had been just him and Bob in the car. They were driving through the woods. Elise, quite drunk, said that according to local rumors, the ghost of the Grey Lady haunted the area. Bob was intrigued. He said ghosts could communicate with the living through infrasound, which could cause panic and disorientation. To Elise, it was only a fun game. When Bob got out of the car for a short while, Nathan and Elise were left alone. Naturally, during questioning, he denied everything, even when Inspector Hadley mentioned that they had tracked his route using cell towers. Nathan was clearly lying when he claimed that he and Bob had driven straight to the station. At that moment, Nathan was thinking back to the moment he buried the body. The police also said that later that same night, Elise had knocked on her ex-boyfriend's window in tears, begging him to let her in. She was clearly upset and confused. In other words, when Nathan returned home, Elise was alive, which meant he was not a suspect. In 2013, he continued trying to get closer to Holly, although she kept pushing him away. After losing her sister, she had still not been able to recover or find the strength to move on with her life. But Nathan was persistent and even met her parents, Graham and June Fox. Holly finally decided to give him a chance. Their relationship developed quickly, and soon they were talking about marriage. To Nathan's unpleasant surprise, Jackie turned out to be one of the bridesmaids. As it turned out, Inspector Hadley was a long-time and very close acquaintance of the Fox family. She found a moment to speak to the groom alone. Jackie believed Holly should know the truth. Nathan lied, saying he had not known about Elise when he first met Holly, and by the time he found out, it was already too late. The man did not want to hurt her, especially since there had been 300 other people at that party besides him. Jackie decided to believe Nathan. In the present, in the middle of the night, he gets a call from Holly's lost phone. It is Bob, who stole the phone while Holly was ordering food at a cafe. Bob is no longer willing to wait. They will move the body tomorrow, or he will never leave them alone. He will also tell Graham and June Fox the truth. Everyone will know what really happened. Now everything depends on Nathan. He is forced to give in, and accept Bob's terms. Now Nathan only wants this nightmare to be over as soon as possible. On that fateful night, Elise died in a freak accident. When she stopped breathing, the men panicked and decided to bury her instead of reporting it to the police. While Holly is meeting with her parents, Nathan and Bob are going to dig up the remains. But first they need to find the grave. Jackie, who has joined the Foxes for an evening get-together, notices that Holly looks troubled. Holly tells her that something has been off with Nathan lately. He seems miles away. Besides, his nightmares have started again. She also mentions Nathan's old acquaintance, Bob. Ever since he showed up, Nathan has not been himself. Jackie recognizes the name. At last the men find the remains. After meeting with the Foxes, Jackie keeps replaying Nathan's interview in her head, his story about Bob picking him up after the party. To the inspector, it does not seem like a coincidence. She goes to the police station and looks through the files on Elise Fox's case. Could the men have been lying when they claimed they had not seen Elise at the party or afterward? In 2013, Nathan and Holly got married. She wished so badly that her sister could have been there. Listening to his wife's touching speech, Nathan could barely hold himself together. Later, while the guests were enjoying themselves, he slipped away and finally broke down in tears. In the present, Holly feels as if there is someone else in the house. Nathan still has not arrived. Meanwhile, the men are trying to decide what to do with the remains. Bob insists on hiding them in his secret place for now, while Nathan would rather burn them right away. He cannot believe this is really happening. Holly calls her husband and asks if everything is alright. She also mentions that she heard footsteps in the house, though there is actually no one there. Maybe Holly is just overwrought. She feels that Nathan is hiding something from her. From the sound of his voice, this is not a casual drink with an old acquaintance. He promises to come home soon, while Bob drags the remains into a freezer. Nathan just wants his life back. He did not hurt Elise. Bob assures him that it will all be over soon. There is no way back now anyway. Later, to deflect suspicion, Nathan lies to his wife and says Bob wanted to borrow money. That would explain Nathan's anxious behavior lately. He keeps lying, saying Bob is desperate and has already asked several other people. Nathan and Holly do not have any spare money right now, so they would not have been able to help Bob anyway. Nathan promises that this man will not bother them again. Today it is all over. Or is it? Meanwhile, Jackie keeps going over the recordings of Nathan and Bob's interviews. Back then, 10 years ago, their alibi checked out, but she feels they are somehow connected to Elise. All night Nathan cannot sleep, thinking about that fateful night. When Bob stepped away, Nathan and Elise were about to give in to passion in the car, but at some point under the influence of Bob's substances, Elise had a seizure and hit her head against the window. Realizing that Elise was dead, Nathan panicked, but stayed in the car. Bob returned, understood what had happened, and came to what he considered the only sensible decision. Nathan tried to convince himself that none of this was real, but it was all really happening. Bob said they had to bury Elise in those woods if they did not want to go to prison. The substances were Bob's, so he would be charged too. No matter how much Nathan insisted it had been an accident, no one would believe him. Together the men dug a grave. After that, they agreed never to see each other again. But Bob did not keep their agreement. Now, going over all those events in his mind, Nathan realizes that Bob is hiding his true motives. When they were moving the remains, he acted as if he had planned every step in advance. Nathan calls Bob and insists they meet to discuss everything. The man agrees to meet him at the pub at 6 in the evening. However, Nathan only wanted to distract Bob so he could make sure the body was still where they had left it. He breaks into Bob's hiding place, but the freezer is empty, as if nothing had ever been there. Barely pulling himself together, Nathan calls Bob and says he has been held up at work and will be there soon. Meanwhile, Jackie searches online for information about Robert Morrow, an expert on paranormal phenomena. She finds his address and goes there. At the same time, Nathan breaks into Bob's house in search of answers. He turns on an old video projector and sees a recording of a seance in which Bob was trying to summon Elise's spirit. Inspector Hadley rings the doorbell. Nathan hurries to hide. Jackie looks through the window and shines her flashlight inside, but seeing nothing suspicious, she gets into her car to wait for the owner of the house. As long as she is there, Nathan cannot leave. Bob is tired of waiting, and he is already on his way. Nathan does not have much time. Trapped and running out of options, he calls Jackie and asks her to meet him right now. Nathan admits that he lied to the police about Elise. Hearing this, Jackie does everything she can to keep her composure. She asks him to come to the police station in 10 minutes. Before Jackie can leave, Bob shows up. He pretends that he did not recognize the detective inspector right away and that he has not even thought about that case in years. Jackie would like to speak to him right now, but Bob refuses, saying he has guests. The inspector leaves him her card. Jackie knows perfectly well that he will not call, so she will call him herself. Nathan does not get a chance to escape. Finding him in his house, Bob does not look surprised or angry in the slightest. It seems Bob expected this, just as he expected Nathan to visit the hiding place. Nathan's problem is that he refuses to accept what is happening. Bob says he knows how to make everything right. It is believed that a woman who dies an unnatural death in woods near a river remains on earth as a restless soul. All his life, Bob has been looking for a way to prove to everyone that we are more than just our physical bodies. The only way to do that was to create a ghost. Bob believed that if Elise died in that place, under those exact circumstances, she would become one. A shocking realization comes to Nathan: this was Bob's doing. It was not an accident. On that fateful night, Bob gave Elise a packet containing cyanide. Of course neither she nor Nathan could have guessed what it really was. Bob made Nathan feel guilty so he could use him to cover up the crime. The man sincerely believes that death does not exist, that life is only a temporary stage before the transition. Bob also believes that Elise's ghost keeps contacting him. In despair, Nathan tries to make him understand that none of this is real, that it is only a product of his sick imagination. Bob is obviously insane. As if he has not heard Nathan at all, Bob says there is a way to make everything right. They have to confess to everything. Only after Elise's family says goodbye to her and properly lays her body to rest will she find peace. They did this together, which means they have to confess to the police together. Nathan, however, does not believe he was truly involved. He was a victim too. If Holly learns what her husband did, it will break her heart. Bob explains that if he takes responsibility alone, Elise will not forgive either of them and still will not be able to find peace. Bob gives Nathan 24 hours. Jackie is already waiting for him at the police station. She wants to know what he meant by what he said about Elise. Instead of revealing the truth, Nathan says Bob did not pick him up that night. On the contrary, he was on his way to the party. Nathan claims he lied because he did not want to get Bob into trouble. The point is, Bob was buying substances. Jackie knows that this man has recently reappeared in the couple's life. Nathan keeps lying, saying that at first Bob simply suggested having a drink, but then he started talking about Elise all the time, as if he were obsessed with her. Now Nathan is very afraid for Holly. Jackie tries to piece all the facts together. Nathan and Bob were ruled out as suspects from the beginning, if only because Elise's ex-boyfriend saw her that night after both men had gone home. She knocked on his window, but by the time he came to check, she was gone. There is still no explanation for this. Maybe the guy saw someone else, not Elise. Nathan has been gone all night, and Holly is furious. She wants him to tell her the truth right now. But the man cannot. That evening he returns to Bob's house with a bottle of whiskey. Nathan begs him to give him at least one more week with Holly before they turn themselves into the police. Bob, however, is determined to end everything today. Nathan has only recently realized that he was supposed to die that night too. He survived only because he did not take the cyanide with Elise. Suddenly Bob begins to feel terribly weak. Nathan has spiked the whiskey with a sedative. The man plans to get rid of Bob and make it look as if he had done it to himself. Nathan will never allow Holly to learn the truth. After figuring out that Bob has hidden Elise's remains in a safe in his house, Nathan tries to find the key. Meanwhile, Bob uses the last of his strength to dial 911. Seeing this, Nathan grabs the phone and calls for an ambulance. He also calls Jackie and says that he has just come to Bob's house and found him unconscious. Jackie heads there immediately. Nathan does not need the remains, he needs Elise's dress, which is sure to have traces of DNA on it. He searches for it frantically and at some point remembers what Bob said about ice. The dress is in the freezer. The paramedics have already arrived and are knocking on the door. Nathan barely manages to grab the dress. The paramedics provide emergency treatment. Bob still has a pulse. Nathan does not immediately notice that he has not taken off his latex gloves. The police arrive too. Nathan casually tells Jackie that Bob kept talking about the safe. The woman does find Elise's remains there and calls Holly. When Holly hears that her sister has been found dead, she drops the phone in shock. Having gotten rid of the only witness, Nathan intends to keep his secret to the end. He never wished Elise any harm. After learning that Nathan was at that party, Holly expects an explanation from him. Why did he not tell her? Did he know about Bob's involvement? Nathan assures his wife that he knew nothing until Bob showed up on their doorstep 10 years later. That was when Nathan began to suspect something. But Holly still cannot forgive her husband for staying silent for so long. He should have told her about the party. The woman is going to spend the night at her parents' house. Nathan has not slept all night and only comes back to reality when Jackie rings the doorbell. The police have a few questions about the previous night. When Nathan learns that Bob is not dead but in a coma, he can barely contain his fear. To his relief, however, Jackie says Bob is unlikely ever to wake up. She hopes that Nathan and Holly will still make up. Maybe Holly just needs time. From now on, Nathan lives in constant fear that Bob will one day wake up from the coma after all and tell everyone the truth. Soon the couple reconciles. Holly gives her husband the happy news: she is pregnant. 9 months later, they become the happy parents of a baby girl. But the past still has its hold on Nathan, and it never will let go.